bitch, a ribbon Coca-Cola. We invented the cherry tomato and Waze USB drives and the Iron Dome. Israeli salad, Uzi, Stenson, Jaffa's orange grow. Microchips was us, iPhone cameras us, taco salads us, Bodagabanos us, Olive Garden us, White Cross for us, Sabra Hamas, Hasbara sus.
Hello and welcome to Bad Hasbara,
the most exceedingly superlatively moral podcast on the damn planet, folks.
on
How
the
are you?
whole of Earth. How is everyone? My name is Matt Lieb. I will be your most moral co-host for this podcast.
And my name is not. My name is Daniel Mate, and I'll be the other most moral codpast.
Yeah.
Cod paste. This is
Yes.
cod paste. Get your
Our
cod
most
paste.
moral cod piece, Daniel Mate, protecting all your nuts from all the things that are flying your way. Baseballs, soccer balls, someone's foot.
Which reminds me of one of my favorite independent rap lyrics from Company Flow,
Of course it does.
1997.
Mm-hmm.
Verbal flamethrower serving roasted nuts. Matt, do you notice that your glasses kind of match my shirt and my glasses kind of match your shirt?
I didn't notice that, but that does seem like something that we planned.
Yeah.
But we didn't. The thing about us is we don't plan. We didn't even plan to meet. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Everything has been a coincidence. We just happen to be sort of the exact same person.
I was planning not to meet you, and look how that went.
I was doing my best to avoid you. You were, you DM'd me and I said, I don't know who this guy is, but he is an op. That's what I said.
You know what they say? Make a plan, and God starts a podcast.
That's right.
Although you had already started the podcast. In fact, you started the podcast the week we met.
That's right. Yeah. After meeting you, I said, I got to start a podcast.
I got to start a podcast that I will never invite him on. And look how
I
that
will
went.
never invite Daniel Mate on. No. Speaking of a podcast that we are doing, give us 5 stars and a review on all of the apps. If you are on Spotify, go ahead and write a comment at the bottom of the podcast app. You can be like, hey, I like this episode, or hey, Matt's hot, or damn, his eyes are beautiful, even though I don't see him because I'm listening to the audio version of it, but he's telling me they are, so I believe him because he never lies.
And Matt, why shouldn't they do that on other apps? Is there some sort of snag there?
I just the Spotify is the. I mean, there are
we like screwing over indie musicians.
Yes,
while we're saving Palestine, it's like free Palestine, bankrupt
little
indie
bands.
Little bands. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's just Spotify. It's like it's a thing they offer. They offer that kind of engagement, whereas like you can't do that on the like Apple podcast.
No royalties. Says producer Adam Levin in the house. Shout out to him.
Shout out
always
producer Adam
with
Levin.
the chyrons.
That's right.
Of Glee.
And please support us at patreon.com/badhasbara. Check it out. And our sponsor for today's episode, once again, is the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund.
Woo-hoo.
Is that right, Adam? Just nod your head if I said it correctly. Palestinian Children's Relief Fund is something you should be donating to. PCRF.net. Do it even if you're like, hey, but I was going to join the fucking Patreon. First donate.
No, here's what you do. Here's what you do. Okay. Here's the game. Make a drinking game out of it, but instead of drinking game, a donating game.
Oh.
Get that bingo card out that we showed the other week.
Yeah.
That someone lovingly made, or make your own. So every time I make a pun that you absolutely hate, donate $1 to PCRF. Every time Matt says dog, or another one of his lovely little endearing
inane idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. Donate $1 to PCRF.
Yeah.
Every time we say I love you to each other and gaze longingly into each other's eyes, or do the opposite. Say,
sure,
I can't stand you. Donate, and then whatever money you have left at the end in your kids' college fund, you maybe join the Patreon for $5 a month.
Absolutely. The Palestinian Children's Relief Fund needs your money. Your children do not. I would say, here's the thing: if you got enough money for PCRF.net and enough money if you want to join the Patreon, then that's great. Don't worry about your kids. There will not be college in the next few years.
As the great Sufi poet Khalil Gibran said, your children are not your children. And that's where the poem ends. And what he meant was, don't take care of them, don't save for their education.
Yeah, I also know that poem because I am also smart and cultured.
It was set to music and sung by the soul, gospel, folk group Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Daniel, I have a question for you.
Yeah, baby.
What are you spinning?
So what's the spin?
What's the spin?
What's the spin? Well, the spin this week. I'm on the road. I'm traveling, and not when I say on the road, I don't mean like I'm doing events. I'm just traveling.
No, he's literally just on the road.
I haven't been shopping for records. I've been being very disciplined. But today I was in Boulder, Colorado, and went to Paradise Found, and I found some Paradise. Got some Michael McDonald.
God damn.
Blue Eyed Soul, Yacht Rock.
Hell yes. I love Michael McDonald. Here's the thing about Michael McDonald. He, when I listen to him, I feel like he's kind of trying to have sex with me, which is wild because it's like, it's music. And I feel like I should feel that with a lot of other artists, but I don't. Right. But with him, I'm like, he is straight up trying to have sex with me through this song.
He's the sexiest.
And as you leave, will you let me suck your cock? Let me suck your dick. You know what I mean? It's like.
Absolutely. Then I got Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti.
Oh, okay.
Which I hear is one of their best albums that I don't really know so well.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to that much Led Zeppelin. I'm spending too much time listening to Michael McDonald. I
got Some Girls by Rolling Stones. Apparently there's a naughty insert in here somewhere. The original.
Oh.
This has Miss You and all those other things.
Okay.
And one more, just so that it's not running a cock rock. Laura Nero.
I don't know Laura Nero.
Wonderful folk singer-songwriter who did an album with, who was it? LaBelle. Patti LaBelle's group. They sang backup for her, and they sang like girl group Motown songs, and it's quite cool. So yeah, she died young, I think. Really cool singer.
I love folk music a lot. I sing my daughter to sleep every night to a couple of Joanna Newsom songs, which she it was just, they're both of them are 10 minutes long, but you do what you got to do to get the baby to go to sleep.
You get out your saw and you get your voice. Does she love the voice you do for Joanna Newsom?
Oh, she loves it. Yeah. She whenever I do the high pitched stuff, she's just like, fuck yeah, dog, hell yeah.
Give us a little taste.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Hell no, that's for my daughter's ears only. All right,
not without my daughter.
Not without my daughter. But yeah, that's I love Joanna Newsom. She plays the harp. She does folk music. She's so cool. Well, she married Andy Samberg, which like for me was heartbreaking because I was like, oh, she has a type, and I'm very close to it, except for the success part.
Look, man, he put his dick in a box. Isn't that the one we're talking about?
That is the one we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you put your dick in a box for her?
I've put my dude. I've told you about the fish story. He just wrote cutting this out.
All right. Well, anyway, that's the spin. I can't promise it being anywhere near as good as Mr. Patel's spin, which we'll get into later from the State Department or White House or whatever.
We will talk about Mr. Patel.
Oh, Patel?
A lot of Glenn Ross going on in this podcast. But today, let's introduce our most moral guest in the universe. This is the host of the Katie Halper Show and co-host of Useful Idiots, a great podcast.
Aaron Mate.
Yes, it's Aaron Mate.
The host of the Katie Halper Show.
Yes. And is also now working on a doc about Holocaust survivors speaking out against the Gaza genocide. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, please welcome to the show, Katie Halper.
Hi, everyone. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming on. So good to see you. I'm so glad we could make this happen.
Yeah.
You've invited me on your show a couple of times, and I've been like, we got to get Katie on, and just now it's happening. And is it everything you dreamed?
Is it?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Oh, it's funny. The way you delivered it was like a declarative sentence, but it was a question.
Is it ever everything you dreamed?
It definitely is. I mean, I've just started, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She dreamed of sitting backstage listening to us jerk each other off verbally for
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Well,
Yeah.
I learned some stuff about Laura Nero, by the way, who was young when she died. She was 49, but I knew she was young. And when you started talking to her, I was like, let me look up how old she was when she died. But I also learned that her name was actually Nigro, and they changed it.
I can see why.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah. They used to say Nigro.
I can imagine.
Instead of
at best.
Negro. And then after she left high school, she changed it to Nyro, which you'd think would be pronounced Niro, but according to Wikipedia, at least, it's pronounced Nero.
Yeah. And she was going to call her first album Nigro, If You Please.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they don't. That doesn't make it onto the Wikipedia entry, but yes.
Cutting this out one more time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Katie, we got to ask. Look, we're not afraid to go to controversial places on this podcast.
Obviously,
clearly.
It's a podcast about Israel.
It's about Israel,
right?
It's very contentious. But we also don't like to wade willy-nilly into, cultural issues that just don't pertain to this. But I do have to ask you, because you received at a young age, and you've spoken about this publicly, an experimental vaccination treatment, a kind of inoculation against Zionism called red diaper vaccine.
Right.
Right. Being born into the family and the sort of New York subculture that you were, and then you've spoken about the summer camp you went to. Neither of us had that experience.
No, certainly not.
So how did that work? I mean, I went the labor left-wing Zionist route and found my way here. Matt got straight up birthrighted.
Right.
So he was fully infected at a certain point.
Can you explain red diaper? Are we talking about you were born as a communist?
Well, I'm more of a red diaper baby's baby. A red diaper baby refers
second
to
generation red diaper baby.
When you're a red diaper baby, that means your parents were communists. So I guess your diaper was red. But yeah, I did go to a summer camp called Kinderland. I made a documentary about that, which is coming out shortly, called Commie Camp. And it was not a Zionist summer camp. It wasn't. I think it was more non-Zionist than anti-Zionist.
Sure.
So I was mostly raised non-Zionist more than anything else. My mom does have cousins who live in Israel, but I've definitely become more anti-Zionist and less non-Zionist, as has my mom.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What would you say the difference is?
I
Because people
feel
talk about being post-Zionist too.
Right. I think that being non-Zionist means like you just don't care about Israel necessarily.
Right.
I think also sometimes it's just a way for people to avoid wading into it.
Sure.
Or it's a way to be like, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're an explicitly anti-Zionist Jewish institution, then you probably get more flack for just being one that is like, saying like, no, we're not Zionists.
Right.
We don't do. I mean, I guess it is a weird line, because it's the, does it mean you're neutral on Zionism?
Right.
Not necessarily.
Right. I'm just thinking about being like, I'm a non-Nazi. I'm not anti-Nazi. I'm just not.
Yeah. I'm just not a Nazi.
Avoidant attachment styles. It's kind of the avoidant version of that.
Right.
Yeah, that's my favorite attachment style.
Yeah.
I have to.
I guess everyone else. I guess all Zionists have anxious attachment style, right?
Anxious and disorganized. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fawn.
I just avoidant, anxious, and secure. But there's also disorganized, or are you just
disorganized is actually the attachment style of people who were severely abused or had like alcoholic parents. Like it's just like total chaos.
Hot mess.
It's hot mess.
Is that new in attachment theory?
It's like an add-on.
Like, not to brag, but I'm pretty well versed and I'm pretty
you know a thing or two about attachment styles.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
But you ended up, you started off in the avoidant, and then you ended up getting, instead of freeze or flee, you're like, let's fight this, because to look at it is to oppose it. And if I'm going to oppose it, then I need to make common cause with, and it seems, it sounded like what you've talked about from your Kinderland experiences. They taught you guys a kind of solidarity outlook.
Right.
Of being Jew, like you've talked about how instead of Tisha B'Av, you would do, was it Hiroshima Day?
Yeah, so we do Holocaust Memorial Day, Holocaust commemoration, and we do Hiroshima also. We have 2 days. Yeah. Not to brag.
Just those.
As of now, yeah. Those are the two we focus on. Yeah,
they would just alternate. Every Mondays was about the Holocaust.
Holocaust is July, and Hiroshima is actually on actual Hiroshima Day in August.
Oh, I see.
Really, so Nagasaki gets so invisibilized. It's Hiroshima and Nagasaki Day.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't really hear much about Nagasaki.
Yeah, it's really unfair.
I feel like that was bad too.
They really stole their thunder.
Yeah. Did you guys see the tweet? I forget who put it out, but when there was recently like a significant anniversary, and there was an event either in Hiroshima or Nagasaki, and the mayor said something about something or other. Maybe it was because the Americans didn't send someone, or forget. And someone tweets, "Shame on this mayor for politicizing Hiroshima Nagasaki Commemoration Day." Yeah. Yeah.
I swear to God, famously non-political event.
Yeah.
The nuclear bombing of Japan.
Right.
Stop making this violent.
Yeah. Wow, you're really making this kind of polarizing,
Yeah.
Well, that's the Zionist line. Like stop being so divisive about the occupation.
Right.
We can disagree, but why are you being so...
not the occupation, the conflict.
The conflict, yeah.
Yeah. It's just
the thousands-year-old religious...
Right. It's just about two religions. They just can't get along, tragically.
Yeah.
And then there's a third one where people keep getting killed somehow.
Yeah.
Too.
So I want to ask you, Katie. You grow up in this very specific circumstance in which you are not growing up in a Zionist household, and and still remaining Jewish. Did you have a turn from non-Zionist to anti-Zionist recently, or was it over a period of time? Like when did you start adding the anti in front of Zionist?
Good question. I honestly think it was having Miko Pellet on, who gave me like the courage to. This sounds so lame, actually. In retrospect,
no, not at all.
So cowardly, because it wasn't that long ago. But I kind of did. I mean, I was always critical of Israel, but I think I just avoided the question of like the Zionism question.
Right.
I was like, well, I don't know about the founding of it, or I know about it, but what we can all agree about is that it does horrible stuff now, as opposed to it was founded as a genocidal ethnic cleansing project.
Sure.
I also found the way people talked about it. It's funny because they say the same things that I say now, and they're definitely true. But there was I guess the way it was talked about, I found it not very inviting.
Sure. It's off-putting.
But I do that too. So I'm trying to think if I was just behind.
I can't speak for you, but I think that was the case for me. Was I found it all very off-putting. The way that people made me critically think. And I was like, your guys are using a lot of harsh words, and what you should be doing is using Nerf words. And in fact, we should all use Nerf words to describe a genocide. And it wasn't until, it was a slow evolution for me, but eventually I just ended up matching the exact language that people had been using that I had once found off.
Well, because you found out the facts to which they were referring, and you found out that the language and matched the facts, and your emotions.
And I had to. It was like the big hurdle for me was getting over the specific, just like semantic triggers that I had with regard to this quote conflict versus like the Holocaust, this kind of othering of the Holocaust as being such a untouchably evil event that you can't even begin to describe anything as being even somewhat similar, and just kind of the way that held me back from like soberly looking at things.
Right. It's interesting. For me, it wasn't that you can't compare it to the Holocaust, because at my camp, we were always talking about, like we did Hiroshima Day, and also on Holocaust Commemoration Day, we talk about how it wasn't just the Jews who were killed. Mm-hmm. To me, I think there were a couple of things that made me squeamish about it. One was, ironically, the term Zionist, and this is what makes Israel's conflation of Zionism and Jewishness so anti-Semitic and so ironic, is that like there are two groups of people who use the word Zionist and Jew interchangeably, and that's like the ADL, AIPAC, and Israel on the one hand, and then just raging anti-Semites.
And
we talk
Nazis,
about the Zionist this, the Zionist that,
exactly.
the Jew this. So 100%. I was always uncomfortable with that word. I found it kind of triggering. But that doesn't mean like, then I just had to look at it and be like, well, there's something wrong with the fact that, like that doesn't make you an anti-Semite. The fact that people use that word to conflate Jews and Zionists, like Zionism still exists and Zionists still exist. So there's that. And then it's almost the opposite of what you said with the comparison thing. For me, it wasn't that, oh, you can't ever compare the Holocaust to anything. It was more that there needed to be like a carve out for the Holocaust. And I don't actually think that that's wrong. I just meant like there needed to be one more step, whereas like, yes, it's a colonial project, and yes, the Holocaust happened, and those two things can happen at the same time. But I felt like that kind of wasn't allowed for, and I was like, wait, but it's not just a colonial project the way other colonial projects are colonial projects, because they weren't fleeing extermination. And then you realize, well, actually, they're not. It's not complicated in the way people say it's complicated to whitewash what Israel is doing. And it's not that complicated. It's just not as simple.
It's true. Again, there isn't a home country that
there's
sent
not
the people to go back. Is that the word for the metropole? Okay, great.
Yeah.
With the conflation thing, it sounds like you decided, okay, well, I don't like this conflation. I'm going to assign the cause and the blame for this conflation to the people doing it in the worst faith that I'm supposed to agree with, which is the Jews and the Zionists. What do you think of Norman Finkelstein's formulation? He doesn't use the word Zionist. This has become like a standard bad Hasbara question I like to ask everybody because I find it so interesting. He thinks Jewish supremacist is a much better term than Zionist.
I actually
because David Ben-Gurion was a Zionist. Moshe Dayan was a Zionist. These people aren't building anything. They don't believe in anything. They just believe in Jewish supremacy.
That's interesting. I think we'd probably honestly get more people. Well, I'm not sure. I was going to say we'd get more people on our side. I think we would probably reach more people. But then again, I think in the aggregate, we'd have a net gain if we use that term. You definitely lose people who are don't want to think of Zionism as Jewish supremacist. But I think there are people who are so brainwashed into thinking of Zionism as self-defense as opposed to ethno-nationalism that if we maybe just use Jewish supremacy to describe it, like someone like me who was uncomfortable with the whole Zionist thing. Now that may have, that may have changed, but that's a good question.
And of course, this question has a carve out, to use your term. All these questions that I have a carve out for Palestinians, because as far as I'm concerned, Palestinians get to use the term that applies to the people who did the thing to them. The Zionists came in and did the thing. They are the victims of Zionism. I have nothing to say about how anyone who's been through that enables their oppression.
Yeah, that's actually, I want to come on because I had a listicle I want to present of what terms I find appropriate for Palestinians to use.
Oh, good.
And
I love a listicle.
Spend the rest of that show. No, but that is a good question about, what, to the extent that we have any discursive or political or organizing power, what is the most helpful way to do this? And then another question is, who are we trying to reach versus, because I understand people, it's not on Palestinians to convince anyone. I feel like this is a tough question politically in most cases, where who needs to be reached? Like, how far do you go to reach them? What are you trying to achieve? Because I think that people have different roles. Like there's the role of some people is to just be unapologetically and unabashedly anti-Zionist and alienate people. And then you have other people who I think can walk a line that's not dishonest and doesn't whitewash Zionism, but maybe tries to appeal to people who aren't already there. And I think sometimes it's hard to do that without feeling dirty.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's depends on the messenger. My whole thing is, and this is my problem with, I think, people in left academia spaces in general, is they don't ever speak in the vernacular. They refuse to, and in refusing to, they end up alienating everyone and thinking, why do you talk so weird?
They send paper airplanes from the ivory tower down, and they bunk people in their head. They're like, read that, use that word.
And I think in general, it's like turns all conversations to be semantic conversations rather than just speaking plainly about what's bad and what's not bad. And so whether you call it, Zionism or Jewish supremacy, to me is like, it's
or self-defense
Or
Jewish preservation.
Right, exactly. It's like you it is about being clear within whatever context or whatever conversation you're having. And it's whenever there's somebody who's a hardline semantics guy who wants to tone police, I'm always the most turned off by that than I am by someone who like slips up and like does the conflation of Zionism and Judaism. Like with that, I like to go, wait.
Right, yeah.
And then see if the reaction is, oh shit, my bad, or if it's like, shut up, Jew, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, there we go.
Right.
Well, you've both said it, and it's important. It depends who you're speaking to, and it depends who's listening. I've seen people in the comments on this show, and we've spoken. Matt and I have told you guys what we think of your comments, generally speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
On a philosophical level.
Yeah. Eat the slop. Yum, yum, yum.
Eat the slop. Yeah. We wipe our asses with your comments, generally speaking.
We love you all, guys.
You all. But one person was like, does Daniel need to keep both sidesing the genocide? And that's not what they meant, because I never both sides of genocide. They meant, does he need to keep inserting like some kind of residual sympathy for Israelis in his heart?
Like empathy?
Or some empathy, and like seeing them as human beings that might have some kind of future we need to contend with there.
Right.
And basically what that person is saying is, I don't have the emotional bandwidth right now, given what's going on, to extend my empathic curiosity or imagination.
Yeah, you don't have to.
And I'm like, God damn right. You absolutely don't have to.
Yeah,
and
do whatever you want.
Right. And I'm going to keep speaking what I'm speaking, because it does have a certain intention that seems to be within the ballpark of the various things, some solemn and some fucking stupid, that this podcast tries to do.
Yeah. It's it's interesting, because going back to I'm already thinking in my head like, oh, this person's going to cancel me, that person's going to cancel me, but I'm saying this not out of cancellation fear. I just think it's an important, interesting point, which is that I actually think like we need to talk about, instead of kind of rolling our eyes at the Holocaust, enough already with the Holocaust, we have to look, and I'm not saying like you guys do this.
No.
I roll my eyes at the Holocaust, honestly, because it's so weaponized. But I think to reach people, we have to explain to them like what makes Israel such an abomination on so many levels is that it's so tragic and it's such an injustice, because it used these people who were fleeing and who the West did not let into their countries. You use these people who were fleeing extermination, and they treated them like shit, by the way, which I didn't know this until fairly recently. There's great books on this, but some of the people I interviewed for this documentary, one of them is the son of a survivor, and he remembers how his parents were called sapon, which is Hebrew for soap, because myth that Jews were, Nazis used Jews to make soap. Like, Israel weaponized the Holocaust. We know this very clearly, but they also didn't treat the survivors well. And that's what makes it so upsetting, because
they turned some of them into rapist, murdering, pillaging.
Oh yeah,
maniacs.
Yes, they
gave them guns, and they said, "Go get your revenge."
Yeah, on these people who had nothing to do with the Holocaust.
That's right.
So I actually think we need to talk about, as Amy Goodman said, would say, but we do need to, I think, explain to people how it makes it that much more disgusting. The colonial project that is Israel and the ethnic cleansing project that is Israel, it's only that much more disgusting that they invoke a genocide to justify another genocide.
Yeah, 100%. It is, in general, like, why it's one of the goals I think that I have in terms of talking about this with people is to, rather than rolling your eyes at the Holocaust, because a lot of people, you're not wrong. People do that, and I find myself doing it too, especially when it's used in bad faith by Hasbara to further their own genocide of a people's. But there are people who do the same thing with anti-Semitism. If they hear a claim of anti-Semitism, they roll their eyes and I don't want to hear any more shit about anti-Semitism, which is like is a reaction I understand on a level of like, we have been gaslit about anti-Semitism for a while.
Really, Matt? Gas?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me. We have been Zyklon B lit into thinking about anti-Semitism and fears of anti-Semitism as being as dire and should be over-prioritized more than actual genocide that is happening currently.
It's the boy who cried Wolf Blitzer.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's the goy, or when they're Christian Zionists, it's the goy who cried Wolf.
Who cried wolf. But so my goal is, rather than to get people to like roll their eyes at it, is to understand the creation of the state of Israel and Zionism in its original form and current form as an extension of the victimization of Jews and world Jewry. It is not a. It is not the. This is the prize you get for the for the Holocaust. It is like, no, this is just a continued victimization of Jews around the world, and that's not to say that it is a victimization in the same way that it is for the fucking Palestinians, obviously. But yeah,
well, but if you factor in the Mizrahi story, you actually round out that picture in various ways, which we've 100%. Talked about. That that number one, the Holocaust is not the be all and end all of Jewish.
Right? You're talking about.
Right.
That's right.
Right. The fashion designer, right?
Yeah.
That Jews experienced many different kinds of relationships with their home countries.
Yeah.
That anti-Semitism is a European problem, and that Israel victimized a whole group of Jews and erased their identities and replaced it with a much impoverished one and gaslit them into doing its dirty work while it shoved them into the dirtiest corners and the most unsafe corners and used them as kind of Molotov cocktail fodder for their, as a buffer between them and the Palestinians, and turned them against people who had much more in common with than they did with their Ashkenazi oppressors.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's worth mentioning, which is that, what we think of as Jewish, like as stereotypically Jewish, is pure Ashkenazi. Like everything, how, from like Larry David to matzo ball soup to like pastrami or whatever. There's Sephardic Jewry and Mizrahi Jewry, which are very different culturally.
Right.
And, then there's all this Jewish racism and
But yeah, the point of this podcast is so that everyone, listening can just like learn. We're here to like teach and to learn, and to be very serious, and to not ever laugh.
We are the class clowns who became the teachers.
That's right, exactly. And it is with that I'd like to present my first piece of Hasbara for today. Remember the kid you did the song about, Daniel?
Twist.
Twist.
The Hasbara.
That's right. Eilon Levy's brand new little boy who is
his little mini Ani.
Yeah, his mini Ani.
You know who Eilon Levy is, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So he got fired, became a citizen spokesperson.
He's such a bad liar that he's like got fired by Israel, which says
even Israel was like,
liar,
Jesus Christ, guys.
Liar, sorry, you're fired. Anyway, so he went recently on Israeli television to announce his new Hasbara venture, and he brought a little 10-year-old along with him.
Yes.
And he said, we're going to be using, this kid is going to be able to speak to the youth of the world on TikTok. And the kid is like, in Hebrew, we are putting a new twist on Hasbara.
I have an update. He has put out his first piece of content, and here it is.
When I was little, I was scared of monsters under the bed. But in Gaza, kids my age have real monsters under the bed. Because Hamas...
Kind of over the bed, no? They kind of have monsters over the,
Yeah, but they're also under the bed in tunnels. You understand?
No, I understand, but I'm just trying to fact check here.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones dropping bombs
you mean
on the bed.
The ones... more real threat, the scary monsters over the bed in planes
that's
and
what I'm
drones?
Saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry to interrupt.
Dug tunnels under children's beds. They even executed hostages in dungeons under a child's bedroom. Hamas monsters stored weapons in children's bedrooms in Gaza, even right under their beds.
I'm sorry, but you've said, kid. I don't mean to fact check you. I don't mean to judge you. I know you're new, but you've said beds multiple times.
Yeah,
you keep saying under the bed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we gotta mix up a little bit.
They didn't even make their beds.
Yeah,
and they moved their beds without asking the kids. And
what's under their beds?
Yes,
and
they did not do anything to the bath or to the beyond. Just to the bed.
Just to the beds. And there was no feng shui in the way they arranged the beds.
Yes.
This is like the attempt to do the save what is it? Free Palestine from Hamas, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's exactly
This is like
what
ally
this is.
ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. This is freeing Palestine from Hamas. I like it. It's just like, you know how kids are scared of monsters under the bed, and then just talking about kids in Gaza, and just trying to claim that any fear that they have of Hamas would somehow be greater than their actual fear of getting bombed to death.
Right.
Just,
Never mind any awareness they would have of Hamas. I mean, I wonder how many pen pals this kid has with kids in Gaza.
Too many to count, actually.
Too many to count. A lot of kids.
Hamas, terrorists who kidnapped little children from Israel on October 7th. It must be so scary.
You notice he's wearing Elon's exact suit?
Yes.
They dress exactly
Oh my
the
God,
same.
he is. Yeah, and
It's actually the same size. People don't know this. It's literally just is like, wow, I fit into your suit. It's like, don't tell anyone that.
And I fit into your pajamas.
Oh, look. Oh, they're
Under
such
their
torturers.
beds.
Wait, pause that. Go back a little bit. Can you show that dog? Look,
Yes.
these are these monsters under the bed who let that girl and her puppy, really cute puppy, somehow they both survived.
Yeah, and this.
Yeah, but they're feeding it off-brand puppy chow. There's no
exactly,
Purina.
exactly. That's a gluten-free dog, and that dog right now is celiac disease is really running rampant.
Why would they show that? Like, why?
Well,
why would they show that?
Because you have to remember that to
Hasbara.
Israelis, not just to Israelis in general, think the more Hamas guys they show with the scary masks and the headband, the more people will be like, "Oh, kill them all."
It's also very Wizard of Oz. You know, look at Dorothy there in the land of Ozza.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you went there. I was waiting for
the Wizard
to
of
do that.
the Wizard of Gaza.
The Wizard of Gaza.
You know, and she's little and her little dog too.
Yeah, exactly.
But they let
and the flying monkeys on the paragliders.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
And Sinwar is the witch. All we have to do is throw some water on Sinwar, and he'll melt away.
The Wicked Witch of the West Bank.
Still alive, so.
Yeah.
Wait, which one was killed first? The Wicked Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch of the West?
Wicked Witch of the East was killed first.
Yeah, right. So
a house fell on her.
You're right. So Sinwar, right.
Wait, a house fell on her.
Oh my God. We all people think that the Wizard of Oz is about like the gold standard and populism. They're so wrong.
No, it's about the Gaza genocide.
Yeah, it is.
Yo.
Wow. We unpack that.
That's wild, dude. We're going to have to...
The Goldstein standard.
All right, here we go.
Put Hamas monsters under their beds. Hamas monsters are really bad. Use children.
Hamas.
You didn't sell that line.
No, you didn't. Hamas monsters are
really
bad.
They're really bad. Like, not just bad. They're fucking really bad.
Yeah.
They use children as, what are we going to say, human shield?
Soldiers.
They force
little children to be lookouts in dangerous places.
In dangerous places? You mean Gaza?
Yeah, right.
You mean all of Gaza?
Middle of fighting. They run child soldier boot camps to train children to be terrorists. They teach them about jihad in schools. They teach them to hate and put them in danger. Hamas is stealing their future. They're kids in Gaza. They haven't done anything wrong. They're suffering from the war Hamas started.
But we still have to kill them. They haven't done anything wrong, but we're going to have to carpet bomb them.
He's talking about himself. He's actually talking about himself.
Yeah, he's saying, I haven't done anything
He hasn't
wrong.
done anything wrong,
It's
and they're
true.
making him do this. They're teaching him hate.
They're
turning... what is this?
Shit, he is a child soldier.
He's a child soldier of Hasbara. He is, clearly and explicitly. And, this is his boot camp.
I know this is pretty meta, but it's also like, he doesn't, like, Elon Levy, right? He's such a raging asshole. I feel like this kid is like what happens before. Yes. I mean, they're all like brainwashed to hate and think that they're in self-defense when they kill people. But this kid seems like, even despite what he's saying, something about him doesn't like scream like evil.
No,
he's a kid.
No. He's an Israeli kid. This is Muppet Babies, the genocide version.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, they talk about in this video, this is why this doesn't work. It's because you can't have a video in which you're like, we need a kid to tell the West about how Gaza treats kids.
Right.
You can't have that video
and then
because
be like, have the high moral ground.
Right, especially because you have this kid instead, and you're just like, damn, I feel kind of bad.
Why
for
have him in the suit?
Right.
Why not have him dressed like a kid?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god.
Like that's where you fucked up in the wardrobe department.
Hamas should make a video about the making of this video.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, look at what Israel does to its children.
I shouldn't do the Arabic accent, but he'd be like, Israeli children are made to dress up like little blue suited Oxford
like
monkeys.
Little Elon Levy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Wait, put that kid in a no fear tee and some jorts.
Suffering from the war Hamas started on October 7th.
Yeah.
I hope we can be friends one day. But for us to be friends, the grown-ups need to stop trying to destroy my country, Israel. I don't want to hide in a bomb shelter because Hamas monsters shoot rockets at me while hiding under children's beds in Gaza.
Do they think?
Oh my God, the beds. Back to the beds in Gaza, coming full circle.
And I'm sorry, but like that imagery they just showed of a literal child shaking in
Doesn't remind me of
fear.
anything. Doesn't remind me of anything. Not reminiscent.
Well, no, but like, do you think that's a video of a child shaking because Hamas did something? That's not at all. That is a child shaking because the people that you're talking about, the adults, are doing airstrikes on them, on those kids specifically. It's just
sure
like
those weren't Israeli kids in bomb shelters?
I mean,
I think that's what he was trying to sell.
It could be. I could be wrong, but it's just like,
I'd still argue they're in those bomb shelters because of what your grown-ups did.
That's ultimately. Yeah.
If we're gonna be grown-ups about it.
What did we do about rockets? Let's find out.
At me while hiding under children's beds in Gaza. What do we do about the monsters?
I don't know. What do we do?
Oh, damn, you didn't answer that question. I really wish you had answered that question.
Cliffhanger.
And just imagine Elon behind the camera. How many takes do you think he forced that kid to do?
I know. Yeah. And he did that thing, that very like bad child actor thing. Yeah. You see, like, what can we do?
Yeah. There's just like, there's something like innocent Charlie Brown about him, but, without the...
I feel like we should save him. Can we have like a rescue mission?
Seriously.
There's just so many.
We'll make that the
sponsor.
Do
you guys remember? I don't know if you guys ever stayed up late and watched infomercials back in the day, but do you remember there was like this one infomercial that was like "Save the Soviet Jews"?
Yeah, that was called my Hebrew school class.
Oh, it was like there was literally one day I have to find it, but it was a long ass infomercial about how if you just pay X amount of money, you can airlift one Soviet Jew out of the Soviet Union and send them to Israel. And I remember watching this and just being like, what the fuck is going on? And then also being like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds cool. We got to airlift those guys. I didn't even know.
We have to exfiltrate this kid and get him.
I kind of want to airlift Israeli kids.
Yeah. Give him some whitefish sandwiches and Mel Brooks movies and a steady diet of
just show them
diaspora shit.
Yeah. Just something beyond wearing a suit to do Hasbara for a guy who got fired. That's like
that's double child abuse.
Just super humiliating. And it's not this kid's fault, but goddamn, I gotta say he's really got to take some ground lengths classes or something.
Yeah, seriously.
And at a certain point, we're not going to be able to protect him anymore. So on this is Bad Hasbara. This is Bad Hasbara 50. This is our 50th episode.
That's right.
When it comes to Bad Hasbara 500, the kid will be in his teens. We're going to be
irredeemable.
We'll be mercilessly roasting him just like we do everybody else. So,
bro, if we get the 500 episodes,
huh?
We get the 500 episodes, I will be fucking in Hezbollah by that point. If this fucking genocide keeps going on,
and it'll be called Rad Hasbara at that point.
Hell yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Hey, Hassan Nasrallah, if you're out there, be a guest on this podcast. We can talk some shit about some videos. It'll be fun. But yeah, hey, before we continue the show, we got bills to pay, you guys. So let's all take a quick break and stick around. We'll be right back. And we're back.
My mic just went flaccid.
Yeah, his mic fell down.
If I had a penny.
Soft. Yeah. For every time Daniel's mic went down.
If I had a penny, I could afford a decent mic stand.
Yeah. We're here with none other than Katie Halper, host of the Katie Halper Show and Useful Idiots. And we're also here to talk about Hasbara. Let's talk about a sad news story. We're going to sandwich. This is going to be a shit sandwich today. An insane thing has happened that's,
also not at all insane.
Not at all. That, I was going to say has happened a lot, actually. And
insane and consistent and predictable.
Yes.
100%.
Only congruent.
Aysenur Eygi, who is a American citizen and recently graduated college student, was murdered by an Israeli sniper in the West Bank. And this has been one of those events that is happening that actually was able to, at least in some way, break through to mainstream media where they would at least admit that something bad had happened. So just for a brief primer on that, we go to this clip from CBS.
The big questions over the death of a young American in the occupied West Bank. A procession was held this morning for 26-year-old Aysenur Eygi. She graduated from the university.
I pronounced it correctly.
You did.
I just want to point out, she pronounced it wrong.
Bad Hasbara is your more trusted source for the names of non-Western derived American citizens killed in the Middle East than CBS is.
Than CBS.
University of Washington back in the spring. And a few days ago, eyewitnesses say that she was shot in the head by an Israeli army sniper. Elizabeth Palmer's in the West Bank for us with more on this story.
The people who've joined the procession today, officials, activists...
What's Elizabeth Warren doing there?
Big structural change in the West Bank is coming, baby.
Oh my God, big structural valley. Remember that?
Yeah, big structural
Israeli.
are here to honor Eygi's death and also to say a final goodbye.
For the ceremony to honor her, Aysenur Eygi's body was wrapped in a Palestinian flag. Her family said she'd been a passionate human rights activist her whole life. 26 years old and a recent graduate from the University of Washington, she'd come to the West Bank just last week to support the Palestinians. On Friday, Eygi had joined activists in the West Bank demonstrating against an Israeli settlement expanding in the middle of Palestinian lands.
Yeah, you see the two jeeps.
The Israeli army clashed with the demonstrators. The military now says rocks were thrown.
Sure.
I hate when
heavens
armies clash with unarmed protesters.
Yeah, what a clash.
That is a demerit. But here's a merit. They said expanding into Palestinian lands. They didn't say disputed territory.
I
mean, you notice these things when you notice how rare that is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to get letters from camera. That's for sure. Yeah. But it is these little semantic changes that you have to take as wins, because otherwise you just feel the immense weight of losing to fascist Israel. Yeah.
The soldiers fired back with live bullets.
And that's where they lost it. Was the clash between... Fired back. What were they allegedly firing with before?
The military now says rocks were thrown.
Rocks,
of course. Yeah. It's always the rocks, yeah. They had to defend themselves from...
Sniper is, by definition, hundreds of yards away.
Yeah.
So the sniper is not someone who is, in
danger,
in the line of fire of a rock,
which is going to arc through the air, like this, rather slowly and almost certainly miss
your
its target.
helmet.
Yes,
and if they do hit you,
your body armor, and
right.
Just like when you see something like that, where they, it is not forgiving when a soldier on the ground does it. Obviously, when a soldier on the ground also shoots someone with a live ammo and someone else has a rock, they're also a piece of shit. But a sniper is literally far away. A sniper is not close by. So to in any way suggest that this is anything other than an execution of one of the protesters, whether or not they knew it was an American citizen, I don't know. But to be honest, if I found out that they did know, I would not be in the least bit surprised.
two things that, how I remember the first Intifada, because I'm that old.
Yeah.
And the broken bones policy of Yitzhak Shamir.
That's right.
Rabin. Or Rabin,
Yeah.
Which was, if they throw stones, break their arm.
Right.
Which is mafia shit, right?
Yeah.
But at least it's cruelty with some reference to the thing.
Right.
It's like what a medieval king would do: cut out the liar's tongue or the blasphemer's
right.
tongue.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
It's what the church would do.
Cut off the thief's hand.
Now we're talking about just
Not
sniping
that those
people.
are okay.
That's number one. Number two, Israeli activists who were there with the group, including Jonathan Pollock. I don't know if we have a clip from him, but he testifies that they were standing there absolutely peaceful. There was no throwing going on. It was over.
Yeah.
And they just...
Right. But it's funny. It says a lot that even their cover story is like just the biggest load of fascistic bullshit ever, where their cover story of, they were throwing rocks does not explain a sniper shooting
bullet,
somebody.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
it is
the definition about Hasbara is always even if true.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's just across the board. I think they should have gone with a much simpler explanation. And it goes all the way back to the way that Aysenur was introduced at the beginning of the story, which, if you remember, said an American citizen and recent college graduate. End of story. Say no more. She went to an American college in the year 2023, 24. Off with her head.
Yeah.
You know what they teach kids at American colleges.
They teach their kids to hate. Of course,
they shot her in the head. Yeah. What was in her head was a threat to the state of Israel and the Jewish people.
What was in there was the anti-Semitism. Right. You have to get rid of that.
Self-defense. It was self-defense.
It's self-defense if someone's brain is filled with hate.
That's right.
Oh, man. Yeah, and just we'll just continue this.
Eygi was shot in the head.
I saw her lying on the ground under an olive tree, bleeding to death. I looked up and I saw a clear line of sight to the soldiers.
They're shooting live rounds.
I'm curious why they didn't introduce who that gentleman was. Did they give his name later in the story?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, that's Jonathan Pollock.
Yes.
Israeli.
A brilliant Israeli activist. If you want to watch an incredible speech, he received some kind of activist prize a few years ago before the October 7th genocide, or before October 7th kicked off this round of the genocide. I'm being careful now when I say before the genocide started, because when is that, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
But he talked about how we need to disassemble Israel, and we need, as Israelis, to disassemble our Israeliness. We need to not just be anti-Israel, we need to be anti-Israeli. And it was an incredibly moving thing to hear from him. So I recommend people go check him out. Anyway, they don't name him. They don't identify him on the screen.
So far as I know. But that it is good to know, and definitely look him up.
Is Vivi Chen, another American who volunteered with one of the organizations that recruits foreigners to stand with the Palestinians.
So we come here to try and stand in solidarity with them, to try and use, what privilege we have with our passports.
The White House has said it's deeply disturbed by Eygi's death, and her family has called for an independent investigation.
How disturbed are they?
I mean,
not
pretty
enough
deeply.
Not disturbed enough to have an independent investigation.
Not disturbed enough for Biden to call the parents of the American citizen who was killed.
But the problem, Katie, is that how can they do that? I mean, they're disturbed, but they're too heartbroken.
Yeah, you can't expect emotional labor of someone who's just experienced something that they're deeply concerned about.
Because as they always say, as Kamala said at the DNC, as Patel, Patel, said, I see Matt going for the clip.
Oh, yeah, damn it. I didn't do it fast enough.
I sprung it on you.
Patel?
All right, there we go.
Patel? As you know, it's always heartbreaking when a generic, non-specific human being loses their life for God knows what reason.
Well, it's almost like the way they present it when it's an Israeli criminal, an Israeli murder, is it's almost like a natural disaster.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. How can this have been avoided? Guilt. It's just like, damn, man. I really hope the Israeli police deal with themselves.
Right. They're so good at that. They're so self-flagellating. Yeah.
And just in terms of, how exactly the, whores at the State Department are dealing with this, it is not too far off from what you've been saying, Daniel and Katie. Here's a press conference that Patel himself was giving just today.
So there are actual eyewitnesses that saw exactly what happened.
And shout out Saeed Arakat, the great journalist.
I know,
him a question right
what
now.
a boss.
He
should have him on.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Should.
Hell yeah.
I'll
Maybe
introduce you guys.
there's some entity or some other person that have fired the shot other than an Israeli soldier.
Zaid, I think you and other colleagues, of course, this is your briefing. You can ask as many questions as you would like. You can ask the same questions as many times if you would like. That's not going to change my answer, which is that, one, around the specifics of what transpired, important work is continuing to being done to ascertain what exactly happened, and we are going to let that process play out. As I've said, as it relates to making those findings public, we expect that to happen as soon as possible.
I hate to have a bullet transpire through my head, says Adam Levin.
There's a great Kids in the Hall skit about the word ascertain.
Yeah.
In which a guy is called into the foreman's office at a factory.
Yeah.
And saying, and he says, "What seems to be the problem, sir?" He says, "Well, there's been complaints about you on the floor from your coworkers. Yeah, they say you're being very difficult to work with." And, well, what do you ascertain the problem to be? He said, "That's the problem right there. You keep using the word."
Oh my God, that's so
He's
great!
like-
I
he's
can't
like-
stand. I have a friend who uses that word all the time. I'm like, there's literally never a time you need to use that word.
Never
it's never
time
okay.
in conversation,
I've never needed
and,
to
and rarely
ascertain anything.
rarely
It's
in
almost
writing,
always
right?
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Most always be
or
find out.
determine at the
Yeah.
utmost
Yeah.
formality, right?
Yeah.
So anytime you hear someone
Word.
using that word, as I think Kids in the Hall brilliantly intuited, it's fucking bullshit, and it should be slapped. And Will Menaker had a great tweet about this. I've got it here. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
He says he's talking about Patel.
Yeah.
The sum total of my politics is increasingly anything that will result in this butterball being kept in a dog crate for the rest of his wretched natural life.
I would love to trade like a dog that needs a home. Like I'll take that dog and put Patel in there.
We need a kennel for White House and State Department spokespeople.
Oh my God, him and
100%.
Matthew Miller? Forget about it.
Oh my God.
And John Kirby.
Yes, all
He's
of them.
actually the worst. He's the worst.
Yeah, they're all freaks though. Like they just
He's always like this, Kirby.
Yeah, what the
Whoa.
fuck? Wow, that is wild.
How do you make your face do that?
You're doing a live filter. That
Yeah.
was crazy good.
We expect that
I can't do
process
it
to
for
be
the other
thorough,
one.
transparent, and it to be as robust as it can be.
Oh,
but beyond
robust.
As robust
Are you
as
going to
it can
ascertain?
be.
Are you going to ascertain how robust it will be?
They're gonna ascertain the robustness, and if that ass is good, they gon' bust. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know.
I'm just not going to speculate from up here what happened or why or any of the reasoning side. As I said,
Little boy
It
needs
makes
an
it
instant hero.
sound like he's being a conspiracy. They're so gaslighting. They make it sound like Saeed asking a totally fact-based question is like a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
Being unreasonable, asking him to speculate from up here. Like, no, we're
Right.
not asking you. There are people on the ground who can ascertain this. And then you communicate it because you work for the State Department. You're not an investigator.
Well, it's just such a it's a complete dereliction of duty. You know what I mean? Because I mean, at least that's kind of at best you could call it a dereliction of duty to unquestionably take anything that the IDF or the Israeli government says at face value.
Actually, it's a performance of duty.
It's a performance of duty. It is literally their
what his
duty.
job is. Yeah.
That's the job. And later in another part of that very same press conference, someone says, "Well, as soon as the American Israeli hostage Hirsch, I forget,
Goldberg Polian.
was found dead, it was immediately Hamas has murdered this boy,
and he's
Hamas
an American
has blood
hero.
on his hands. Hamas has blood on his hands, and they called his parents. Of course, they had also invited his parents to speak at the DNC.
Yes,
And the other thing that's so, disgusting about that is it's not just the double standard, which is clear, but like I'm not shocked, but like we know these people see Palestinians as subhuman. But what sometimes shocks me is that they don't really even care about saving the lives. Like they had one job, which is like to care about Jewish lives, and they don't even care about those. I mean, we know that about Netanyahu, but like
you had one racist job and you didn't even do it.
You had one genocidal job. Yeah. You had one ethnic chauvinist supremacist genocidal job. Yeah. And you couldn't even do that.
But that's the logic of the Hannibal world,
doctrine,
you know, like that's what it is, because it's not actually about
it's not
Jewish lives. It's about the machinery of
the Mishigas machinery.
The Mishigas
machinery of Mishigas,
Yeah, Mishigassery.
But that's the other thing is like someone was saying this the other day. My friend was like, it really is terrible that it makes me. Hirsch was in the IDF, right?
Right.
We'll call that problematic.
Sure.
It's very different for someone who's in the IDF to be killed. I'm not happy that he was killed, obviously, but it's like, it's so hard to maintain your humanity because when you see people mourn his death and not give a shit at all about a Palestinian or even about an American, then I get like, it's like, it makes me so much more callous about other, like, I'm like, I don't say this really, but it turns me into a not very nice human being about like the Israeli killed.
Yeah, and Nora Barrow-Street said this last week. She said,
when you're living there, like, why would these people have any empathy? I'm a Jew in the United States, and I see that, and I'm like, enough. I don't want to hear about this kid anymore. I'm just being honest.
No, 100%.
And you're not alone in that.
Like, how do these people think this is going to end?
Right.
They don't care. They don't care. That's why. Yeah.
Well, this is the general problem between the way in which Israel is perceived around the world by regular people and the way that it's portrayed by itself, its PR machine, and the American and Western government's PR machines, is that there's such a disconnect that what ends up happening is like not dissimilar from after the 7th, in which there were people who were like, they were like, oh man, people were like in the streets and they were celebrating this. And I was like, do you know what people see of Israelis? Like, do you know what people know about Israelis? Because your personal experience with Israelis aside is not the general population's view of Israelis. The general population, at least the people who are out there who have known about what Israel is, and as an apartheid state and as a genocidal entity, as a sick racist society, the videos and images that they've been subjected to of Israelis before the 7th was pretty much a racist society doing racist and awful things.
Yeah.
And imprisoning 2.2 million people in Gaza.
Right.
So for them to, be celebrating, it's not to forgive people for like callousness if they were in fact being callous about the deaths, but I give a little more grace to people who didn't know the death toll.
Inmates all over the world celebrated the Attica uprising.
Yes.
And also like lest anyone had any doubts about some people still say this. It's like, it's not Israelis, it's the Israeli government, or it's just Netanyahu. And we know that's not true, the Netanyahu thing. But it's not true. Sorry, we really need to talk about the fact that this is a society that spontaneously broke into protests in defense of the right to rape. Like, this is not like any other country that has a bad government and a bad military.
Yeah.
There's something pathological about that. And that you have people gang raping prisoners. Then you have people celebrating the right to do that, or protesting for the right to do that, protesting the attempted accountability of those people, right? They broke into riots when they dared detain some of the rapists.
Yes.
Then you have a member of the Knesset saying out loud during like a video, a recorded session of Knesset saying that it's legitimate to do that. Like, this is not just a society that has a problematic political structure.
Yes, and you could say, okay, well, the riots broke out in the right-wing sector of the society, which is most of the society, but still, okay, well, let's look at the portion of the society that dares to protest the policy. Let's look at the sector of the society that was out in force in the Tel Aviv and Jerusalem streets.
Yeah.
Maybe 100,000 people. Now,
Right.
were some of them genuine justice, peace,
Sure, of course.
coexistence people? I saw people with signs saying end the genocide. Okay.
Right.
So that was there. But here's what else was there. So this is a billboard in Tel Aviv, and it's a new campaign by those demonstrating against
Holy shit.
Netanyahu. It's in Hebrew. There's two images side by side. On the right, so we'll go right to left because we're reading it in Hebrew, right?
Right.
On the right, it's a picture of a young blonde white ass girl. I'd be very shocked if she was even Ashkenazi, but maybe she's an Ashkenazi white girl, embracing her mother who's hugging her, and the caption at the bottom in Hebrew says "bringing back," as in bring
Right.
them back, right?
Right.
And on the left, there's an Israeli Merkava tank blowing something to smithereens, and the word says "vechozrim," which means and returning. Basically, so bringing them back and then going back. Let's get them out of there and let's go back
Right.
and finish
Destroy them.
the
Finish
job.
the job. Right.
Now that is a major tranche of the so-called anti-war movement in Israel.
Right. Yeah.
And
And these are like the
there's
Tel Avivists.
no way around that.
Like these are the people that the right wing will scorn as, well, you Tel Avivists out there with your,
Right.
left wing policies and whatnot. It's like, man, people, I think, vastly underestimate the sickness within Israeli society that in which the reality that they live in, the bubble that they live in, that it has been fed to them since birth, allows them to live in this complete conundrum in which they are it allows them to live as fascists while thinking they are fighting fascists. It is totally sickening, and it is abusive in a way that I'm just like, again, without putting it next to the suffering of Palestinians, it's just like, it's a whole ass country that abuses
people. Yeah.
Jews. That's what Israel is. It's a whole country that is convinced Jewish people that whatever they do is justified against this enemy, and therefore they can act as cruelly as they want to. And for anyone to speak out against it, to them, means that they are speaking for the genocide being of Jews.
Absolute madness, which is why we have to be appreciative. I don't know if we're going to move on now or want to finish that press conference because Patel said some wild shit. But we have to be appreciative when some Israelis, especially English-speaking ones, are willing to come out and just say just that and kind of just be like, look, sorry, love us or leave us. But this is how we are. And we're going to talk about some of those guys. We already have, but we're going to come back to them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm it really is just like nice when they do it in English, because just like,
right, they usually don't. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because in one of the videos that I remember seeing a few years ago, and I think it was during the Sheikh Jarrah evictions, quote unquote, of this neighborhood in the West Bank. I believe it was related to that, but it was a video of a settler who said something like, "If I don't steal this land, someone else is going to do it." Yeah. And it was very clear that the woman speaking to this guy knows him. They're on a first name basis, and it was like one of the rare English videos.
Because he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and showing this kind of behavior, and this is what people see when it comes to Israelis and Israeli society. So when someone feels no empathy for things that happen to people who may not have desered it, may not have
Vivian
deserved
Silver.
to be kidnapped. Yes. It's hard for
an
me
Israeli
to be
peace activist,
Israeli Canadian from Winnipeg, and deeply connected to Palestinians both in the occupied territories and within 48 Israel. Was eulogized by a Palestinian friend of hers at her funeral. And paid the price for her government's selling out of her, but also for the long-term cost of the oppression she was trying to do. At least I don't know what her activism looked like, and some people might say, oh, she was Coexistence Incorporated or whatever. I have no idea, but this is someone who had love in her heart and and justice, in her soul.
Yeah.
And on side note, but I personally, my opinions on the kind of way in which people tend to parse and factionalize within this movement is just like I just generally ignore the criticisms unless they are a Zionist, unless they are spouting off Zionist talking points. I don't care about their whatever their relationship is to a 2-state solution or whatever.
Right.
Like I think they're wrong. But if they are someone who speaks earnestly and honestly about the genocide, then I'm like, I really don't care.
And that doesn't mean there aren't interesting and worthwhile things to understand.
Like we had critique about them too.
And we had when we had Noam Schuster on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who grew up in Neve Shalom, which her phone autocorrects as Never Shalom, which is very funny.
Neve Shalom?
Never Shalom.
No, I know Neve Shalom.
Neve Shalom.
Neve Shalom. Yeah.
That would be the
That's the name of my house.
Neve Shalom. She talked about the coexistence industrial complex, right?
Yeah.
And
there's plenty of critique to go around, but never feel
different from being a bloodthirsty
big
eliminationist.
Yes.
Yeah, and not recognizing genuine work and risk taking when it exists. And I think one thing people sometimes don't get, and I understand them not getting it, not wanting to, but I'm going to say it anyway. It takes something to be. You could say she's born in Canada, she should go back to Canada. Okay, you can make that case. But it takes something to live in that place and oppose the fundamental structure of the occupation and try to build bridges that'll lead to justice and freedom and some kind of change. It's a real risk. The Israeli people I know there say, we're living in Nazi Germany. And I respect, you could say, well, this is a whole other conversation. We can have it another time. But you get what we're saying. Nuances, but without nuance trolling. I think that's
right.
Where
Exactly. Yeah. Anyone doing an attempt to factionalize can suck a dick. And I will continue this press conference. Right.
So there are actual. That's fine. I just want to take.
And again, I just want to reiterate again that we are working closely to ascertain the facts, but there is not State Department led investigation that is going on.
By the way, can I just say something that makes this like that much richer and more disgusting? Saeed Erekat himself had a cousin killed by the Israelis. And not only was he killed, and it was, obviously at the most charitable cases, it was a mistake. But they pretended that he was a security risk or something, a security threat, which he wasn't. They haven't returned his body.
Wow.
Because that's another thing that a really healthy society does. It holds on to the bodies, to the corpses of the people it kills.
Yeah, or destroys evidence or hides it.
Yeah. And this is, it's just the dehumanization of, there's no, this happens in colonialism, but to some extent, it's different layers of this. But it's like, it doesn't matter that this guy has connections in the United States, lives in Washington, D.C., is a journalist, knows powerful people. Like, they don't care. They're still going to keep that guy's body, his cousin's body.
Yeah. He's literally there speaking to the mouthpiece of the State Department. Yeah. And there's a certain amount of I don't know. The arrogance of the Israeli government when it comes to this kind of shit. It is really hard. It makes it really hard not to be like, I don't really care what happens to you guys. I hope something bad, because you're just like, how can you can only like strut around for so long, going like, I'm invincible, before someone wants to just hit you on the head with a 2x4. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you are literally daring people to hit you in the head with a 2x4,
and then like claiming to be the victim after you've like bulldozed their entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because the record, Vedant, is really quite abysmal, and when it comes to Israel investigating itself on the killing of Americans. I can take you back to March 16, 2003, when Rachel Corrie, a Jewish American, was killed by a bulldozer, in plain sight
was she
of everybody.
Jewish?
And
No, I don't think she was Jewish.
That's inaccurate. No, she was.
Israelis only came back with an answer in 2012, and it was just like, nothing there answer kind of a thing. And we saw this happen with Omar Assad. We saw this
Wouldn't have
happen
been funny
with
if,
Shina
like,
Ba'aklin when it was killed. And
it would have been funny if they were like, she wasn't Jewish, which is why we didn't do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Patel should have answered. No, she wasn't Jewish.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Or else our response would have been different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Game, set, match.
You guys came out on July 4th, 2022, on a holiday, and you said that the intention was not there. So what guarantee do we have that this investigation, this particular investigation, that saw the murder of a 26-year-old American, Aysenur Eygi, so we saw her murder. Everybody, there are a lot of accounts and so on. What guarantee do you have that this will be carried out, the investigation will be carried out thoroughly, fairly, transparently, and would lead to the proper result as far as you're concerned?
Saeed, I'm not going to color any of these findings until we see them. So I will just leave it at that, and not going to get ahead of the process here.
So do we have? I mean, I'm sorry, but let me just. Do we have any evidence from the past that Israel actually comes through on these investigations?
I feel like he's forgotten that, like, trying to look into the past and put that into context is inherently anti-Semitic.
True. Yeah, I was triggered by that question.
Yeah, me too. Whoa. What do you mean the past? You mean the Holocaust?
Right. You want us to go back to the ghettos and the gas chambers? I got it.
Yeah. I'll tell you about the past.
The IDF and the Israeli government speak to their own accountability processes site. I'm not going to get into that, but at every possible measure, we reiterate the reminder that civilian deaths need to be minimized.
They reiterate the reminder.
Yeah, you got to reiterate that reminder.
What forceful language!
You got to reassess.
The State Department has so much power, and it's really wielding it.
Some linguist needs to, we're going to remind them within an inch of their lives. Some linguist needs to parse the syntax of what happens when these nervous spokespeople have to cover for Israeli crimes. Something incredible happens to English grammar.
Yeah, just syntactically.
Syntactically, if you actually just break down the literal transcript, maybe we'll do this just as an experiment.
Becomes very ESL.
Yeah.
But, almost AI ESL.
Yeah. It's they kind of like devolve into like sort of cop speak, that's what ascertain is. It's just it's a cop word, it's to make a guy with a gun or with the power to do crimes feel a little bit more smart,
like kinetic situation and compromise to a permanent end. We are kinetically ascertaining.
Yeah,
exactly.
But also when actions are being conducted in the West Bank, that it is critical and vital to peace and stability in the region, taking that moral and strategic imperative.
Oh my God, what a sentence! Critical and vital. That's one little clause, little meaningless clause of propaganda. Peace and stability in the region is another. It's a word at this point. Peace and stability in the region. It's just
trademark.
One word.
Yeah.
And then whatever the last fucking piece was. Kiss my ascertain, you fuck.
When it comes to the Israeli killing of Americans, Americans that are being killed by Israel and their families, they feel that these Americans are the children of a lesser God because Israel is committing the crime. Israel is committing the murder. Is that true?
It's not. Look,
it's not true.
Saeed, I'm not sure I fully understand your question.
Because he used the quote.
I'm sure I fully ascertain the meaning behind your question.
I have not seen that William Hurt, Marley Matlin film, Children of a Lesser God.
And I believe it's about the deaf, and that's ableist of you.
Exactly. I'm not. I'm too young for 80s critically acclaimed cinema.
American, then let's say when Israel commits, it is really the identity of the killer rather than the identity of the killed, so to speak.
So again, I'm not sure I fully comprehend what you're asking, but let me just be pretty clear about this.
Yeah, let's be clear.
You're in this context, clear. You're always pretty clear.
In any context, to this government, to this State Department, an American citizen is an American citizen.
Dude, that is so real.
How can you say that?
Is an American. Can you say that?
holder is a blue passport holder, whether they are a Palestinian American citizen, a Turkish American citizen, an Israeli American citizen. The front part of that that nomenclature
doesn't matter.
is not nearly as important to us as the second half. And the
That's
fact
right.
that an American,
It's less that he's a
Not what the
bat.
question
It's
is
less that
about
he's a
also.
bat, and it's more that he's a man. You know,
Well, also,
we
he's
don't
not
care
asking
what's in
about
front.
the
If you turn that
hyphen-
thing around and work it,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
back end,
That's
But
right.
it's
baby
not,
got
he's like,
back end.
He's trying to like stall by making this about another issue, which is also important and significant, which is how much like this woman's Turkish dual citizenship was played up by the media. That's like a whole different conversation.
Sure.
But the perpetrators.
Said is not talking about the victims. He's making it very clear that the identity he's looking at is
the perpetrator.
The perpetrators, not the victims. And
Yeah,
he's
we're
like,
not
"Let me
talking
talk
about
the
the
victims.
Americans
Let me
who-
break down the ethnicity of the victims and how little we care." But it's also like, I know it's the State Department, so it's their job, but it is sometimes scary how like just like nationalistic and tribal we all are.
I
like,
completely
"That's an
agree.
American citizen." Like we couldn't.
I
care less
completely
about
agree. Like,
Palestinian.
can you believe it?
Yeah.
You can't do that to an American. And it's just like, if they're from any other country, you kind of sort of
Right.
can do
Yeah.
that to anyone.
I do have to say though, for Patel, he really took him a while to get there. But he's like the front part of
I
that
know.
formula.
Yeah.
But
I know.
but it was a good.
It was
impulse.
pretty good.
It was
Yeah,
a pretty
I know
good
it was like
impulse.
pretty poetic for him. And
It
like
was
the
pretty-
color of the passport, like it was
Yeah,
like
of course I have a Canadian
as
passport.
Like
It's Canadian.
Aaron,
I
as
have a
Aaron
Canadian-
Sorkin as you could get.
Yeah. But my passport's exactly the same color. I'm from Canada.
Oh,
Right.
he's gonna have to
It's-
rework that then.
Yeah.
It's completely meaningless, that sentiment. The sentiment with regards to the conversation
Right.
it's cute. It's just like,
Right.
listen, I don't
We
care.
love it.
I don't care what it says at the front.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't matter that you're a
It's
bat,
all
you're a
about the
man.
badonk
Doesn't
badonk.
matter that you're
Yeah.
super, you're a girl. You know, it's like this is just like
It's
So
what's
funny.
inside that counts.
it's what's
Exactly, like
We
when
don't
you
care.
we're
We don't
all-
care if she was an American who harbored genocidal anti-Semitic
exactly.
views. We
Yeah.
don't care if she was a left-wing
Her blo-
radical.
Her blood runs American.
yeah.
That's right.
Oh God. And it's just like, it's just the, you know, here's the thing. His job, I remember early on thinking like, oh man, watching this guy struggle. I was like, what a shit job to have. He's been doing it now for long enough that I'm like,
No more sympathy.
no more sympathy.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
where you
if
quit.
you-
If you have a
yeah,
soul.
if you can't sleep at night, quit. You've
Yeah.
got the money. You can go into the private sector and screw over American people in 1,000 other ways. You
Well,
fucking
to channel the rest of Al Pacino's somewhat racist monologue, he says,
yes.
the god Shiva came down himself and told this guy to quit the State Department. He wouldn't quit. And the god Vishnu too into the bargain. Fuck you, John.
Yeah. Patel. I just
Fucking Patel.
one more time just for the fun of the performance.
Ho, ho, ho. Patel? Ravadam Patel? How am I gonna make a living on these deadbeats? Where'd you get this from?
Before we get out of here, let's do a quick update on our boys.
Can I
this
just say
is
one thing before we get to this
please.
thing, which is like not to be a downer, but what's so sad about this is,
Mhm.
you know, we always like to say like we're going to speak truth to power and like no Israeli like bullying and violence can stop us, but the truth is like it does. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to go there. Like I would use my American privilege. I happily would
Oh,
do that.
you're
if
not
I
gonna
thought
go
it
to the
would
West Bank,
work.
you mean?
Yeah, like I don't mean to be. That's like
Oh,
cowardly.
no,
Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud.
No,
but like,
no, no,
I
no,
have
no.
It's
I
like a suicide mission.
No, I
I've
understand.
had
Well,
Palestinian friends tell me don't come right now.
Yeah.
Which is not to say people shouldn't go. Some people are choosing to go. And that woman went and she's making a difference
anyone
with
who
what
goes
she did.
to me
Yeah, but she's right.
is
That's so fucking horrible. It's like-
an actual hero.
Yeah.
Well, so is Aaron Bushnell.
Yes, I agree. You know, it's interesting. In December, I was talking to somebody who works over at an NGO over in, or I don't know, an organization in Israel in which they essentially the job is like, let's get some Americans over here and have them kind of like sit in and live with a Palestinian family, sort of as protection, because the settlers a little bit more
Yeah.
wary about like messing with someone when they see like an American, especially, or if they see someone who's Jewish or someone who's just not some Palestinian family. And I remember I was asking him, I was like, this sounds good. It sounds kind of dangerous, right? And she was like, honestly, it's not that dangerous. There's violence that can happen, so that is something you do have to be careful for. It can be a little bit dangerous, but it's not. She was like, well, I've never, no one who we've brought over has ever, been like badly injured. And the amount that has changed since I was talking to this person in, I think, December, is just like, it's insane. It's just completely, now it is clearly so much more dangerous because we have a society of right-wing settlers who are completely 100% backed by the state. And they feel they have chutzpah. They have the most chutzpah, and they do not give a fuck. So at this point, I think, I understand why you'd be like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. And I can't judge you for that. Before we get out of here, we got to talk about our Nemesis podcast, the two nice Jewish boys who we talked about last week, who essentially their content was found out by the rest of the world, in which in English they described how in Israel they all really wish they had a button that they could press that would kill all of the Palestinians or get rid of them, or whatever euphemism that they used.
Kill them.
Yeah,
wipe them out. Wipe them out. Yeah.
Wipe them out. And in this kind of being so widely spread and people being like, what the hell? The reaction has been very interesting because a lot of people, obviously, who are pro-Palestinian were like, this is fucking disgraceful. And also a lot of liberal Zionists were just like, oh, this does not represent us or our society. That's not my America, they essentially said.
Which is so funny because the guy's whole point is this represents the society.
Right.
Yeah, it was
like,
so
this
great.
Is not, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying this is Israel is not Israel.
Right. So they kind of started sort of a PR offensive in which they tried to explain themselves, so to speak, Hasbara themselves, Lehasbir themselves.
Hey, well done.
And so I have just a tweet that they wrote, a very long one, that is their best attempt to explain what they meant by this out of context clip. And let me read it for you right here. There's quite a bit of chatter going on about some of the comments made on the podcast recently.
Passive voice.
We want to properly address that. Firstly, the video circulating was taken entirely out of context. You really need a lot of context, guys, when you're saying you want to when you want to murder.
Like the only context that would just justify that would be like, isn't it so terrible that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which they're not saying. They're like totally unapologetic about the fact that.
Or there's or if it begins with, all right, guys, I'm going to do a bit in which I pretend to be the worst motherfucker who ever existed.
Like Mike Racine did.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Mike Racine. Very funny video he put out. In the original recording, we made it very clear that we did not call for the genocide of the Palestinians. We were making a larger point about the fact that most Jewish Israelis do not care about the cost of civilian casualties on the Palestinian side required in order to secure the Jewish homeland.
Okay, pause. Two things.
Wow. Yeah.
Number one, put that back up, please. I need to parse that. All right. So, number one, you were making a larger point about the fact that most Jewish Israelis do not care about the cost and civilian casualties, including you. You absolutely started from you, and then you said, you know what? I think most Israelis would agree with me. Okay, number one. Number two, you're going to have to explain to me how not caring about the cost and civilian casualties on the Palestinian side is different than advocating a genocide or being okay with it.
Well, you could be genocide neutral. You could be like not here. To be fair, I mean, it's
I'm not doing the Holocaust. I just don't think it's.
Right.
I don't think it's one way or another about that Holocaust.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
think that
okay
makes
with
me
the genocide. I'm just not calling. I'm not calling for it, but I'm okay with it.
That makes me a good Israeli.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To coin a phrase.
And
you're like an unenthusiastic genocidal person.
Right. Exactly.
Which is maybe why we say anti-Zionist instead of non-Zionist at this point.
Exactly.
Coming full circle. Yeah.
Let's see.
Within that context.
Within that context, very important.
But also,
context.
can I point out one more thing?
Please.
I like the way there's put it back up there. Sorry, that most Jewish Israelis do not care about the cost and civilian casualties on the Palestinian side required in order to secure the Jewish homeland. So they're trying to sneak in major Hasbara, which is that this genocide is self-defense.
Right, exactly. Right. And that it is indeed required to kill the amount of civilians that they've killed.
Yeah.
Any amount of civilians killed is the amount required in order to secure the Jewish homeland.
That's been scientifically proven. Yeah.
Yes,
and it's certainly been proven that with every Palestinian civilian that dies, the Jewish homeland, quote unquote, gets more and more secure.
Yeah. Every day.
That's why we're all acting like fucking batshit lunatics.
That's why we're all normal. So within that context, we entertained a hypothetical situation. Entertained a hypothetical situation that would rid Israel of the imminent threat posed by our Palestinian enemies who overwhelmingly support Hamas and wish to kill us all and would gladly go for another October 7th the moment they get their chance. Obviously, that button doesn't exist. We know that. That's the funniest explanation of being like, you guys, there isn't actually a genocide button. It's like, yeah, we know.
They do have a nuclear bomb, but
that's true. They in fact do have a genocide button. Let's not tell them that. Once they realize they have that button, it's gonna be bad news.
That's like some dude. It's like Andrew Tate saying, "Dude, if they could invent a pill that would keep my dick hard for 36 years," well, now it's sounding like a Kendrick Lamar lyric, right? Yeah, 72 hours. So anyway, then I would go out and forcibly have sex with every woman in my town. Guys,
don't worry,
they don't. That doesn't exist, and it's not going to exist. At least for the next couple of years.
Yeah, just the idea that they have to explain to people, or they think in any way this absolves them of being like, the button not real.
Right.
Guys, button not even real. I can't even do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying I want to do it. I'm saying I would like to.
Right.
All I'm trying to say is that if there was a button,
I'm not advocating it as a policy.
Right.
Because
I'm just saying I'm okay with it. I'm cool.
I would never.
That was my shtick. That was my shtick with Elon Levy when I said, "Baby, when I said I would gladly see you hang at Nuremberg, I'm not a trained hangman.
No, I can't
I'm
even
not
do
threatening it because he said I was threatening his life.
Yeah, right.
I'm not threatening your life.
Oh yeah,
but it was a conscious troll.
Yeah, no, man. Listen, if there were a button, I'm saying yes, press it, die.
Right.
There isn't a button, so I just have to live knowing that there's not a button,
right?
And hopefully there's something
My
similar
cross to bear.
Yes. I don't understand why I'm bad guy just because I wish there was button that killed everybody. Okay.
Obviously, I can't support a policy that's impossible.
Yes.
We're pragmatists.
Exactly.
Israel is a very practical country.
We are the world's only democracy, which is why I believe that we should vote on there being a button made in which it kills all the guys. Okay. We, when having to consider...
Jesus Christ, the girth of this fucking... I counted it. It's 631 words long.
It's too many words. When having to consider how to deal with the Palestinians, in reality, things are more complex and nuanced. But that doesn't change the fact that when on the scale are our lives and safety, or when on the scale are our lives and safety, or the, quote, lives of our enemies. In this scenario, most Israelis do not care about the cost and civilian casualties in Gaza as long as the main objective is achieved, eliminating the threat for good.
Katie, I'm watching your body language as you watch it. Like, you're the ESL teacher who's like, and the student has brought this in as like a draft tweet, and you're like, okay, right, you're doing it. And you could have switched the wording there.
Yeah, I mean, I could take a red pen to some of this, but I won't, out of respect.
No red lines. No red lines.
No red lines. Do what you got to do. What everyone who's losing it seems to forget is that less than a year ago, thousands of Palestinians invaded Israel and raped, murdered, and burned our alive countless women, children,
countless
babies,
is true.
elderly.
Countless is true.
Countless
Right.
is
That's
true.
the one
Yes.
honest thing. Yeah.
We can't even count them. Elderly and kidnapped hundreds of hostages. First of all, no one's forgetting that. You've literally not stopped talking about it as
Every single day.
Yes, this has been your justification for a year. So stop.
Wait, what's October 7th? What October? What?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's my daughter's birthday.
Oh, there you go.
Their ultimate goal was to conquer large parts of Israel and kill everyone. No, it wasn't.
No.
Their only reason they failed to do that was our brave soldiers, cops, civilians
not
who
true at all.
heroically sacrificed their life. They did. You know what? A lot of them did sacrifice their lives, but they didn't know it.
Right.
So that we can be here today. We owe it to them to do everything. And we mean everything, so that this imminent threat from Gaza will never show its ugly face again.
I mean, the absolute gall to try to play the victim after you've been a cheerleader publicly and in English for genocide, and then you're making it seem like to say anything less than that would be taking, the memory of our killed in vain.
Yes.
Like, they're really making it seem like we should feel guilty about being upset about their cheerleading for genocide.
Didn't you hear about there was a victim on one of the kibbutz team, I forget which one, but as she uttered, this is so dark, as she uttered her dying, and it's not true, as she uttered her dying words, her dying breath, she said,
like
she whispered, she looked like an angel, right? A sexually abused angel.
Yes.
And as she whispered into the ear of the Zaka volunteer who was making up the story on the fly as he went along, she said, "Don't forget to tell them about the button."
True.
That's
Thank you for bringing that up.
The story of Benjamin Button.
Oh my God, that's good.
The curious case of Benjamin Button.
Thank you. Yeah, curious case.
Oh, beautiful. Anyways, the thing goes on. And I just quote tweeted it, and I just wrote, ain't reading all that freepalestine.jpg because I ain't reading all that.
And I love that so much.
Yes.
That I wrote a song about it. You want to hear it? Here it goes.
Song. I love it. You just had the guitar next to you the whole time.
I brought it with me on the road trip. Yeah. So I wrote this this morning.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Some of it on the toilet.
Oh, good.
And some of it while hiking a lake in the Rocky Mountains.
Beautiful.
All right.
Let's do it.
So shout out to Tom Petty. We're approaching the 7-year anniversary of his death. I've always underrated Tom Petty. I think he's just a great songwriter.
Yeah, he's
great
great
stuff. Yeah, great stuff. All right.
Learning to fly, but I ain't got a button.
I was scrolling my Twitter feed, saw you wrote a lengthy screed, claiming you were misunderstood when you said Israelis would push a button to kill them all. All that I could type was lol. 631 words, you psychopathic nerds. Ain't reading all that. You're two nice Jewish boys, but I ain't reading all that. You cite an opinion poll, but you only dig your hole, 'cause it just shows your state is full of rage and hate. The people you ethnic cleanse, you see through a Nazi lens. You'd happily watch them die while singing Am Yisrael Chai. Ain't reading all that. I love nice Jewish boys, but I ain't reading all that. And then the bridge, which I think I know how it goes. 'Cause everyone heard you. You spoke very clearly. You get up on Palestinian pain. And nothing was twisted or taken out of context. The context is you're fucking insane. Listen, buddies, can't you see? You're so fucking Israeli. You think explaining yourself is somehow going to help. Don't let it hurt your pride. Just admit you want genocide. And if you really want to flap your jaw, come on, bad Hasbara.
Yeah.
Ain't reading all that. Go read it to your unit. I ain't reading all that. We ain't reading all that. You must think we're Meshuggah if you think we're reading all that.
Nice.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Oh,
my
child. My child.
Is she
So
there?
cute.
Yeah,
She's showing herself.
So cute.
Is it time to rap?
Yeah. Say
Oh my
hi.
God, she's so
It's
cute.
time to rap.
Hi. What's her name?
Her name's Karina.
She looks just like Matt. She looks just like Matt. Also,
Hi,
sort of
Karina.
like Francesca. But she looks a lot like
Oh my
Matt.
God, she's so cute. How old is she?
no, she's almost 2. Karina, can you say hi?
Hi. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's my. Okay, well,
She's
that's
so cute.
that was a beautiful. No, don't touch. I love you, but don't ever touch.
Oh my God, she's really cute. She looks like a real combo of you guys.
Yeah, she's right in between. It's beautiful. Go up, have fun. Well, that's been our podcast. Katie Halper, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. We got to do another musical collaboration, Daniel.
Oh yeah,
we absolutely do, folks. If you haven't checked out our song that we did to the tune of Starships, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now with BB and Biden, go check it out on YouTube.
That's great. Dan did a great BB.
It was
and
fantastic.
Michael McRae did a great Biden.
I loved it, and so everyone check that out, and everyone please watch the show, Katie Halper Show, and Useful Idiots, and look out for that documentary.
Yeah.
And follow Katie wherever you.
And it's really encouraging. I got to say, I'm just going to say one thing. It's so nice, given that Israel and Israel and Jewish supremacists weaponize the Holocaust so much. It's so nice to be talking to people who actually survived the Holocaust, for whom the lesson is not never again for Jews, but never again for anyone. And these people don't want their Holocaust to be used to justify another one.
And next time we talk, you're going to have to tell us about the survivor named Capo.
That's right. Oh yeah, I want to hear all about that. badhasbara@gmail.com, patreon.com/badhasbara. And all right, everyone, thanks again so much for listening. And until next time, from the river to the sea.
The State Department is heartbroken like Tom Petty.
Hey.
Jumping jacks was us. Push-ups was us. Krav Maga us. All karate us. Taking Molly us.